Welcome back to Blender for Blogs. I'm Justin, as always. This is a whole big tutorial series about editing our videos for our blogs in Blender. So because it's a big project, you can go watch the promo video to see what all you're going to do if you're just tuning in for the first time. But it's a pretty big project. Go to blenderfrenzy.com to check out all the rest of the videos. You can also just go to the YouTube Blender Frenzy, but blenderfrenzy.com has a lot of freebie extras that you can opt in to download. So and there'll be more coming in the future. So go do that. But this video is all about using the wipe effect. And we're also going to do a little bit of color grading, not much, but just something to get your feet wet in that as well. So what we did last time, if you go to markings, we marked all the places where we wanted to edit. Now, I forgot a couple of things, so let's change some things here first. So all the way at the very beginning here, remember when we were doing the fades, if you watched the video with the fade effect, we extended this first frame out all the way here. That's why you see me frozen, and then all of a sudden I'm unfrozen there. Now that's going to mess with being in sync with our original footage. It's actually not in sync. So what I'm going to do is select the strip, go to strip, clear strip offset, and then that's going to get rid of that right there. Now, be careful with that, because if you have any other offsets, like any other cuts or anything, it's going to get rid of those and mess up stuff if you don't watch that. So just be careful. I know that there wasn't any other cuts yet here, so it's safe. So I'm going to select the pre-cut footage here, and it's this pre-cut footage here in the middle that we got out of sync. I actually hastily moved this one without moving the audio right beneath it, and so that got it out of sync, and so we're just going to move it back to get it back in line. Hit G and then Control to snap those all so that they all align perfectly right there. Then I'm going to go to the first frame, and we want to move everything over to the first frame. But in order to do that where everything stays the way they are, I'm going to have to make sure all of them are deselected, box select them, and then Control G to add a meta strip. So they're all inside this one meta strip. I'm going to zoom in down here if I can. There we go. Select the meta strip, Shift S, and that snaps that right there. Now, if I do Alt G and home, there we go. Now it's snapped it right to the beginning there, and everything is in the same exact place as it should be. Now, instead of, because I want to actually keep the markings here, and then instead of doing the same thing here, well, I actually might as well just do the same thing here. So select strip, clear strip offset, select this, G, Control, and then these are all aligned anyway, so I don't have to create a meta strip. So just Shift S, snap those. Yeah, that's much easier. Okay, so having done that, let's go back to our markings here. Now you can see that the first one was the original footage, but I forgot that I want to add one here as well.
My name is Justin.
Right where I say my name, I want a MoGraph. So I'm just going to take one of these, duplicate it, Shift S, and put it right here. And I'm going to name that MoGraph. And I already have one named MoGraph, so it added that 001 at the end, but that's okay. That's just for future reference. I'm not going to start with that. It's a little bit more complicated, so I will eventually get to that. It's one of the last things I'll do, but we're just going to start with the original footage. So our original footage, we want to wipe into our original footage how it is right here. So that's about frame 484. So I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to go over to our mix 1 and then paste it right in here, 484. So it's going to start right around here. Now there are going to be two more things that I want to do before I actually get to the actual wipe. The first thing is I'm going to change my background. Now this was just a really rough sketch of the background just to get you started with Google Slides so you can see what you can do. I'm going to replace it with the one that I created for the promo video. It's a lot more intricate. I spent a lot more time on it. You're going to want to spend a lot more time on yours, whatever background you'd like to create. That's beyond the scope of this tutorial though. So in order to change an image strip of any kind, just select the strip. You can come down here to strip input and then change data files. So I'm going to navigate to the background that I created, and there we go. This is the one that I have set up. That just switches the image that this strip displays. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is a little bit of color grading. So I want to select my image sequence because what I've noticed is that the image sequence is a little bit darker on this particular background, and I don't like that. So I'm going to select the image sequence strip, go over to the modifiers tab, and then down here where it says modifiers, add modifier, color balance. And this is one of the reasons why I like to have the whole space from top to bottom, is so that I can have all three of these color grade things on the screen instead of scrolling in a tiny little window area. Okay, so all I think I'm going to do is take the midtones and bring them up. I think that's really all I have to do. That actually looks really good. Now you can also play with like the color of it if you wanted a little bit more blue or a little bit more orange or red or however you want that. And then, you can up the shadows a little bit, make it a little bit brighter. I think maybe that's, yeah, I don't think I like that. And same thing with the lift. Just play around with those if you want. You can also click the eye icon to see before and after, with the effect and without the effect. You can also collapse the effect and combine it with others. So there you go. Look at that. Make it look however you'd like to look. Maybe you got a stylized look here, like. Let's see. Boom. Boom. Yeah. Boom. Stylized. Okay. And then you can like see what it looks like with them on and off and all of that stuff. I don't want that, so I'm just going to delete that one. This one's good enough here, I think. So now let's continue with our wipe. Select the strip tab again. So if you notice, let me just actually unhide the original footage. And if I'm going to be wiping to the original footage, it's going to look a little weird because of the offset. I'm here in the image sequence and I'm here in the original footage. So I actually want to move this guy to the middle before I do the little wipe. So in order to do that, that was that image offset here, right here, just like that. So we want to animate this guy going from here to here before we do that little wipe. So I'm going to go ahead and hide our original footage again, and then find where I want him to be right in the middle. So let's zoom in here. Take your original footage like this. Okay, so right when my hands go down, I want him to be centered. It's right about there. So I'm gonna copy this frame. I'm gonna see where I maybe want him to start. You will learn how to take. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna start right here. So selecting our image sequence, where our image offset is here, I'm gonna hover over the X and hit I to create that keyframe. Remember from when we did our animation before. So if I zoom in here, you can see we have that little keyframe tick mark right there. Now I'm gonna hover over this, Control V to paste. That's where I want, this is the exact frame that I want it to be at 0. So I'm going to come over here and change this to 0, enter, and then hit I to make another keyframe. So now that there are 2 keyframes here, and now our animation is going back and forth between them. So let's play that, see what that looks like. To take your original footage like this. Okay, so it's working fine. It's just a little too slow. So we want to actually make these closer together so it's a little faster. But unfortunately, we can't do that in the regular timeline. And remember, the way we did that before was using our dope sheet. So I'm going to open up another area here, change this to the dope sheet. I'm I'm going to come down here, click Summary to get rid of the summary, and click the mouse cursor to make sure that only the ones that are selected are shown. I'm going to hit A once to deselect everything, and box select with Shift B going in there, just like that. Now we have 3 timelines essentially here, which is a little redundant, but I don't want to get rid of the bottom timeline controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and drag this down until it's right on top of the timeline. And then I'm going to take this and drag this down because we only need to see those 2 keyframes. So now we have everything that we need, and we have a lot more space. So I'm going to Control and the middle mouse to zoom in here just a little bit more. Okay. Now I know I don't want to change the last keyframe. So in order to make this faster, we're going to click this and drag this in here, just like this. Make this a little bit closer. See what that looks like.
Original footage like this.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe a little bit faster. A couple frames in there.
Original footage like this.
Yeah, I like that. So let's see.
Footage like this.
Okay. And maybe I'll bring this in just a little bit too.
Original footage like this.
That's a little too fast. Bring that back out just a little bit.
Original footage like this.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So that's how you can control the space between the 2 keyframes, and which then controls the speed from going from left to right or to the middle. So now we get into our wipe effect, but first I'm going to save and then save as another iteration. My wipe effect, I'm going to start right at the last keyframe that we made there. Make sure our image sequence and our precut footage are selected. Hit K to cut both of those. And then let's go back to our markings. I want to see about how long this is. So if I select this original footage here, it's about 150 frames in length. So I'm going to go back to our mix 1. And so I'm going to add right here. This is where our timeline cursor is now. I'm going to hit plus 150 right there to then slide this out. So Shift S with that handle selected. And now we are going to be able to reveal this pre-cut footage. Before I do that, I'm going to hit K to make a cut to keep that hidden. Select the middle portion here, double H to unhide. And now what it looks like is this.
In this series, you will learn how to take your original footage like this, cut out everything that you don't.
And I'm actually going to slide this in just a little bit more. So it's not right on the.
You will learn how to take your original footage like this, cut out.
Yep, there you go.
Your original footage like this, cut out everything that you don't.
Let's see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust this a little bit for just like this. Maybe right here actually. Just Shift S, make sure all those are right there.
How to take your original footage like this, cut out everything.
Maybe just drag it just a little bit more. There we go. Because we got to give room for it to actually wipe. So we go original footage like this, and then it wipes, and then I start talking again.
Cut out everything that you don't want, like this.
Okay, so that's how it's going to go, just like that. Okay, so that's good. Save that here. And now to make the wipe itself is just the same way we made our fade. So we want to select our image sequence, and then we want to shift select our pre-cut footage because we're going to fade from this one to this one. It matters the order you select them. So this one first, shift select, and then this one. Shift A, effect strip, and then instead of cross, which was our fade, we want wipe. And you can see this little light little bar comes up right on the end of that, and that is our wipe. Now we don't see it because it's still there. These two are still butted up right against each other. So we're gonna drag this out, and now we can see our wipe there.
Cut out everything.
So let's refresh our sequencer here a little bit.
This. Cut out everything that you don't
And
want.
that looks
Cut
terrible
out everything that you
in all sorts of ways, but it's easily fixable. So, fixable, is that a word? It is now, for now. So you can see that we have that outline again, and do you remember it's because of our blend mode, it's still in replace, so we got to select our wipe, make sure that's selected, and change that to overdrop. Now that's fixed there. Actually, that's a lot better already. But now it's going the wrong direction, at least the wrong direction to what I want. I don't want it to go up and down, I want it to go from side to side. So over here, under Effect Strip, where it says Direction, and then there's an angle. So I'm just going to type in 90, and now we have it going from right to left, side to side. But I don't want it right to left, I want it left to right. So I could put a -90 there, and that would change it. But I could also just do direction from out to in, and that will just flip it. So now it's wiping from left to right. Perfect. Now I don't want that hard line right there in the middle, actually, because that's just a little bit too tacky for me. So over here where you see this blur width, you can actually just drag that out just a little bit, and it'll blur, give it a little blur on that, and I really like that actually. So I'm going to copy this just because I want to show you if you can actually go really crazy with this and make a really big blur. So if that's something that you like, yeah, go for it. But I like that smaller one there, so I'm just going to paste that right back in there. So just something really subtle like that. Perfect. All right, I like that.
cut out everything.
So let's look at that. I think that's a little bit too slow of a wipe, but let's see.
Take your original footage like this. Cut out.
Actually, that's pretty good. Maybe a little faster, so just bring that in there just like that. Refresh my sequencer.
How to take your original footage like this. Cut out everything that you.
Oh, come on.
Like this. Cut out everything that you.
Oh, come on. Why are you being so slow now? Did I change? Okay, no, that's good still. Now my computer's being slow. There we go.
Cut out everything. Original footage like this. Cut out everything that you don't want.
Yes, I like that. So, so there we go. And that is how you do the simple wipe. Along with some other things. Now, the reason we didn't have to group this image sequence along with the background is because this one was fully opaque. So there's nothing showing through here to this background. But if this was another image sequence, and you could see back to this background, but we wanted another background on there, we would have to actually group these backgrounds into a meta strip and these backgrounds into a meta strip, and then we would have to wipe those together. But since we're just going right to an opaque image, a fully opaque image, we didn't have to do that, so it saved us a lot of time. Okay, so let's see the length of this now.
Like this, and then remove your green screen.
Okay, so I actually wanted this to end right where I say remove your green screen. Actually, right where the thumbs come up, right there. I want it to end. So I'm going to grab all of these handles and hit Shift S to just slide those right there. So we have something that looks like this.
And then remove your green.
Yeah, let's cache that in here. Come on.
This, and then remove your green screen.
Oh, come on.
And then remove your green screen.
There we go.
Add a new background.
All right, and we'll deal with taking all of the background and stuff out here in the next video, but I just wanted to get that length good. So right when those thumbs go up, then that's where I remove the green screen. Alrighty, so the last thing that I want to do here is, since we can, and it's pretty easy,
like this,
where I say I remove all of unnecessary things.
Everything that you don't want, like this.
So right here, I move something. So I'm actually going to create a little boop, like a little outtake thing. And that's where that boop comes in over here, or this thing right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it into the other scene. And you can do this with very limited things. So I'm going to page up, make sure that it copies it wherever in relation to your timeline cursor. So if I copy it like this, it's going to copy it this distance away from the timeline cursor. So the best practice is to make sure it's butted up right against the start of it and make sure all of them are deselected. Just select this one and then Control C to copy, switch to our mix one, and then Control V to paste. And now it pastes here. But again, if you copied it where there's a gap, it would paste it like this. So be careful with that. Shift S. Actually, I'm going to bring it in here just like this a little bit. And we can't see it, but I want you to see the actual color of white there. So we want to bring that opacity back up. So this is where we go boop. And that's still a little bit too long. Drag that in there. So something like this.
You don't want like this, and then remove.
There we go. Now all we have to do is add that little boop in there. And I'll do that on my own, but just very easy. Just record a sound bite saying boop or whatever you want to do, and then just add it right under that. So that's what I'll do, and that's what I'll have in the next video. Okay, so that is it for this video. That's a little bit of color grading and the wipe, and we will continue with the next part in the next video.